Welcome everyone in this new live development video about building an auto chess game. In this video we're going to build up a simple logic to set what teams you're in when joining a multiplayer lobby, and to carry over and start carrying over these information through the map changes. So I'm just going to close everything but one place where we're going to store that in the out game state. Actually not in the out game state, we want to do this in the game state. Like team color, actually we want to do this in the parent classes, the game state, because you have team color and team ID in the game state, so we want to have both these information back in the game state. So we're just going to, and I also forgot to remove some logic, the logic on the link players ready in here. We don't want that logic here anymore in the out game mode. We don't want that, and I think it doesn't matter if we press play. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It don't care about that. So oh yeah, and we still have that error, but I think we're just going to ignore it for now and just add some kind of is valid check. So on player left, if we have a multiplayer lobby, start countdown, maybe that's the place where we are having an error. I assume that might be. No, it's not. Okay, so we're just going to do that, and we'll clean later, because there are several things we did not do well, so we'll clean later all these systems if we have the time and the motivation too. So it's not still that place which is throwing an error. So that might be the place. So if it's valid, it's still not. So in the out game state, and yet that's the place where we're having an error. Out game menu ref. Oh yeah. So we're trying to get it there. So we're just going to grab this if that's valid. And I think we're still going to have an error, but throwing an error at the multiplayer lobby. Oh no, we don't, so I guess that's okay. So we just wanted to do this. And in the game states, I think we want that. In the game state here, I'm not sure. I think we have an array of lobby player. Which do we actually use this? Yeah, we do, but really not at the right. Oh yeah, we do use it a lot, but not as much as we like to, because these two things we don't use them, and that's an error. That's one of the things. Yeah, there are lots of. We built a lot of logic in lots of different places instead of focusing in one place, so that we did kind of shotgun programming, going the fastest possible, but it's not the proper way to, but it kind of works, so we're happy for now. So I think the game state is going to retain an array of F player, I guess. Maybe network player, I guess just player, and it's going to be like a name, a color, and a team ID. And do we need the name? Well, it's always better to keep track of the name in case we need it. Player name, team color, and team ID, like this. By default, team color is going to be like white, we don't care. So the game state is going to have a variable called players, and if we go back to the game state, yeah, so players is going to be a map of string do nothing. I think we're just going to change the name real quick, because I think that was one of the reasons why it was throwing an error. That's because players might be used in there in the multiplayer lobby, where we have the variable players. We're just going to open up the multiplayer lobby, and we're going to rename this by player entries for now. Hit compile, and back in the game state we're going to make that a map of f player, like this. We're going to call this online players, for instance. Hit compile, and in the out game states we're going to find out where are we storing on player switch color. So you can only switch color outside of the game. But we actually, okay, so for now we're not using anything. We're not doing anything with this. So I guess we can grab get players, get online players, add, make, and we're going to find that player, and we're going to store his new identity, his new color, like this. I think we can delete this, player entries, etc., blah blah blah. So the outgame state has keep tracks of the online players. Ready on player left. So we don't have on player connected, so we cannot add anything there, anything to that. So we have to retrieve whenever a player connects, and I think that's the player state handling this for now. I mean, when the player state is ready, it says, it tells something. When the parent is ready, it checks for player name, then it records to its controller. I think it should call the game states to tell it that it connected. Record player states, local player states, and in the outgame player state we are doing something. In the outgame player controller, I mean, we are doing something when a player connects. Record player state, we are telling the player state to create an entry, but I think the player state should be warning the game state, so we'll be doing this. Even begin play check for player name, and when it's ready, record to controller, and it's also going to have record to game states, like this, and we're going to plug that in here. Record to game states, and what it does, it gets the game states, casts it into BP game states, and we're gonna have in the game state we're gonna have a new function called record player, and it's gonna have a player state, BP player state, record player state, I guess, new player, and we're going to call that in here. Oh, and it doesn't like the new parameter. It did not work. Yeah, new player. This one is a new player, so we want to record that, and we're going to add it there. We're going to add that guy. So by default it's gonna increment, so we're gonna get the player name, and you might wonder You might wonder how we're going to give what team ID we're going to give, and for now I think we're just going to go and say add the length. So at the beginning it's gonna add 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, etc, etc, like this. So we are recording that guy, and we have all this information, and the outgame player state, the outgame state I meant. Player team color is no longer used. Instead we are using put that in team color. Instead we are using online players, and I think it won't change a thing for now. Yep, everything's fine. Everything's fine. We'll just... So we are kind of storing the team of each player, and it's already set. It's the order of connection, but when a player leaves, on player left, this has to be in the game state itself, not in the outgame state, I think. Outgame player state, yeah, it calls the BP outgame state, but we need to be putting this in the game state. So on player, for now we're just going to put LL because it won't like the fact that it has 2 of them. And it's calling on player left here, so we will be overriding the function from the game state with these actions. We're going to remove them for now. We're going to put them here. We're going to remove on player left. Oh, we are calling it here. Oh yeah, on the multiplayer lobby, so we don't care. We can delete that. We can hit compile, and it's gonna throw an error in the outgame in here, but we'll be adding back the logic there. This is going to be a string in player, like this, and we will be calling, yeah, in player, so on player left, and we're going to override that function here, like this, and we want to call the parent, because we want to, when a player leaves, in the game set, when a player leaves, we want to remove him from here, like this. Alright, so we need to retrieve that number. The player entry needs to retrieve that number. So we're gonna hide this. So this is a problem. This is too small. This is bothering me. I cannot do anything with this. So we want to add like a size box, put that in here, and say the size box is like the selector ID is going to use all of it, and the height override. We cannot make it. Oh yeah, we can. Of course we can, by saying it's like this. Yeah. Why is it only... Oh, it depends on the style, I guess. Button style, yeah, if we increase that. No, it doesn't matter. I wonder why it's so small. There is something is telling him to be that small, but I'm not sure what. So we're just gonna say that this is using all the space it has, like this, and we're gonna make them bigger, so it's like bigger, 600, Yeah, like this. So by default we're gonna be 1 and 2, I guess. I mean 0 and 1 and 2, etc. So how is it going to be set up? Where are we setting up the color? That's what we need to find. Team color picker. We are never setting this. We are only setting is ready in case it's ready. So I guess when we create player entries, so in the lobby we'll check how we can handle this. In the multiplayer lobby we are creating entries when a player connects, and I guess we have player entries. We have to store his team here. As for color switch, receive color switch, we are never, yeah, we are never calling this anywhere, so we can get rid of that. And ask for color switch, that's bounded to the team color picker. So we are calling this, etc. Blah blah blah. Okay, this is good. But we are never storing. We are actually never storing the color in here, but it doesn't matter. Like I said, it's temporary. We were gonna change that logic one way or another. So when the player connects, we want to. I think we're just gonna pass the player state as reference right away. It's gonna be way easier. On player connect in the multiplayer lobby, we're gonna have a player state as a reference, BP player state, and we're gonna grab all the information we want out of here, like the name, get player name. We're gonna plug this in here. We're gonna grab his local player state, locally controlled. How is it called? Is local. Oh, my bad. Is local player state, and self is gonna move like this, and we're gonna get easy ready. So this is a BP player state. We want an out game player state. We want to know if it's ready, and we want that to plug that in here. And we have lots of time the player name used like this. Control click drag. Oh yeah, I forgot to plug this, and we can remove that. We can go back to our out game controller. On player connect, we want to pass the player state like this. So we want to have its team ID, get ID, and we want to plug that in here. So this is a replicated variable, and we want to be setting it. And actually we don't want to do this way at all. We will bind ourselves to an event called when the team color, the team ID is changed. So event dispatcher dispatch on team change, player state, and new ID, and in player state like this, and we want to be calling this in here. This is the one, and this is the new ID. So the game state, when she record the player state, she's gonna set their team ID to that value after adding it, and only the server, actually no, everyone is gonna do this, because in any case the server is going to rectify the value because it's replicated. So it's being set in the player state, and we're trying to retrieve that in our multiplayer lobby. When a player connects, we're gonna bind ourselves to on team change, on player team change, and it's gonna take what is it, what do we need here? We need player state object and integer. So this needs these two parameters, player state in player and new team, and we're going to use that event on player connects like this. On player team change, ask for color switch. So on player team change, what do we want to do? We want to get the name of the player, we want to find its entry. Actually, this is, are we using something else than the widget entry at one point, one way or another? If not, yeah, we're never using, are we using this elsewhere? Out game states, we are only using the widget entry, so I think we're gonna modify this. Player entries, it's going to be a map of player entry. Yeah, we want to change variable type. We want to unplug this and there. We want to plug that. Oh, actually no, we don't. Okay. We want to remove this and that. We want to do this. Plug that here. Remove this. Get player entries. We want to unplug and plug. Get player entries. We want to unplug and plug, and we want to plug that in here. The same thing goes here. We want to do this and do that. Get player entries. Oh, my bad. We want to do this and that, and we want to remember doing this as well. We want to hit compile, go back to our outgame state, plug that in here, and use that button color picker, exactly what we wanted, like this. So the multiplayer lobby is just that. So when a player wants to change team, what do we want to do? Change team, actually we want to grab that, and we want to change the number written in the option box. We want to close everything else. I want to open up only the player entry, and I want this to be reflecting, so set player team is gonna, and we're going to initialize, we're going to tell that step that it has like all these options. Seven, 8, if I hit play, do I have the options? Yeah, I do. So we want to tell the player entry that set player, oh yeah, we just created that. So set player team with an integer, new team, this is gonna get the team ID selector and say set selected option index, equals to new team minus 1, I think. Yeah, that's it. It's never called yet, so we want to set player team to that value. So I'm 1 but he's not 2, weirdly enough, and he is nothing. It is nothing. So I think that's just because it's not initialized when we receive it. So when we receive this, it's not yet initialized. So where are we actually setting up the team? In the game state, when the player connects, when we record him. So I think in the parent class. So I think this is being called, well, actually we are receiving it at the proper time because the player state is actually rep notifying it. So rep notify team ID. When it changes, we call that dispatcher, which is on which the multiplayer lobby is bound. So the multiplayer lobby binds itself to the team change from the player state, and it calls on player team change. So we should be receiving the proper information here. We're gonna debug 1, and we should be receiving 2. On player team change, only 1. We're gonna try without the multiplayer cheat code, the fact that we always start in multiplayer, to see how it behaves. So we're going to create a game. We're going to find a game. We're going to join. And yeah, it just doesn't work. When the player connects, we don't receive anything. Why is it so? How strange, we do not receive anything regarding the rep notify value of this. Are we forgetting to call on team color updates? We should actually be receiving, except if our team ID is 0. That's why we don't receive anything, I think. So we're just, for the sake of no, we won't be doing this. Okay, I think I know why, because okay, I know where the bug comes from. Actually, it's no bug. It's just that the base value is 0 and the new value is 0, so we don't receive any information, because since the value does not, the first team is 0 and the base value of the variable is 0. So when we set your team ID to 0, the server does not broadcast the changes because it's already 0 everywhere else. So, and it's not appearing in the game because we used -1 here, which we shouldn't. Okay, so I have 2, so it's even weirder now. And I have nothing. I'm nothing. Oh, so that's quite strange that it's not working, but we are just going to say we're in multiplayer for now. So 2 1, I'm receiving 1 and it's written 2. Because it's the option. Well, yeah, so we did have to say -1 when we received that information. Where were we? In here we did have to say -1, because I'm team 1, it's actually option 0. But the other guy is not being, it's really strange that the other guy is not being initialized. I want to, let's see, why is it not working? if we do something like this, are we receiving more than one? No, we're not. So even the logic before does not work. So we are printing the team change. So we are going to let that print go. On player connects, we are binding. We are actually not receiving that event. So I guess the player state is not throwing on rep team ID. Yeah, well, it is. But I guess when we receive it, we are not bound yet. So we're not okay. That's the issue. So it's easy to fix. When we bind this, we actually also want to set the player team there. We actually want to set the player team. So we want to get, oh, this is player state, not player name, like this. So we actually want to get the player state in here. We want its name, and we also want its team ID, like this. We want to hit play, and it's still not working. So we are team 1, and I am team 1 in both of the values. That's quite strange. So I think the game state is failing to yeah. So okay. Yeah, I have a difference between that number and that number. That's my mistake. Length temp int. We're going to do this. Put that in here, like this. And we no longer have anything. Yeah. So, and now we do have to remove this, I think. So I'm team 1, but I really don't understand what's going on. Why there's only my because we're only doing this if we are okay. So this we want to cast it beforehand. So this is really starting to get messy around here, and we don't want that at all. But hey, this is live development or not? Yeah, so I'm team 1 and it's team 2, so that's an error. And I think this comes from the fact that the outgame state does this everywhere, and we only want to do this on the server. And maybe even before. Yeah. So it's fine, but I think it means that this has the wrong value in here. Online player here is wrong on the client. So we're starting to see the end of the road regarding this. So we want to do something like broadcasting that information to the other player, and we want to disable it if we are not if it's not our own player entry. So this is in the multiplayer lobby once again. That's where we were actually activating and disabling the different stuff. This is the team selector. We want to disable it if we are not self, like this. And you know, there is another way to do that. We can do something like get player states. We want to plug that in here. We want to promote that to a local variable. Gonna call temp name, like this. And we're gonna get temp name wherever we have a pink wire, and it's gonna go a long way around easing the process. Player state as well, we're going to remove this, remove that, and plug that wherever we want it, we need it. So if it's local, we're going to remove this. Player ready, we're going to use that here. Local player state, we're going to reuse that here and reuse that here. Remove the reroute node, and what is it there? Player state once again. Here we want temp name. We want the player state in there. We can remove this. So it's starting to look a little bit better. So in here we don't want the player state at all. We want the created temp entry, the needed entry, temp entry, the created entry I meant, like this. So temp entry, we want to control drag everything to that, replug that in here, and use that everywhere we need. Like this. Oh no. Oh, I control W. I hope we're not gonna crash. Yeah, I hit save all. What do we have here? Player state. Okay, player state it is. Like this. And okay, we're starting to breathe a little bit better. So what were we up to already? We were saying like we set the player team in there, and we asked for team color, but we wanted to disable it for the other player, so that's good. And now we want to broadcast the team change. So how are we going to do this? Or maybe we're not gonna do this right now, even if this video is called Team Picker, because most of the time auto chess are just free for all, and right now it's actually granting. If I return find game, I think I won't be able to find game. I want to see if, oh yeah, it doesn't even work. It doesn't even remove the guy who left. It doesn't even remove him from the list of players. So now we are here. We are player 2 is player 1. If we return, it's removed. And are we going to be player team 2 still? Team 3. So we have something which fails to properly reset, and I think it comes from on player left. And yet we are removing the guy from the online player. So maybe on player left is actually never called. And yet we indeed are calling the parent there. For now, I think we're just gonna say we can't modify the team we receive. We're just gonna say it's disabled by default. Nobody can change his team, and we'll see later how we do this and if we do this. So I cannot change the team, but if I leave and join again, but we have to fix this though. I think the problem comes from the fact that when the player leaves, it's actually never called. Is it removed? Create game, find game. And now when I press return, we are indeed receiving removed. So when we search for the game again, we shouldn't see 3, especially since this seems to be working. Because so when the player reconnects, indeed record player state. The length of this. So I guess that's because the player state leaving is somehow tampering with the game instance, maybe? With the game state, I mean? I'm really wondering. I guess that's it, because I don't want that. I want the out game state. Yeah, that's what I want. I want to see what happens when. So we are not tampering with online player value, and it seems to be we're gonna print the name of the guy we are removing. Okay, I think I might understand why. That's because, yeah, okay, I think I understand why. We have to clear this on the server side when we create a game. Because when we hit play in here, we already have 2 player states in that in there. So when but yeah, that's it, I think. But no, because when we create game, I think it removes. So when we find and join, we only have 2 of them. So it's working actually. And if I leave, it's indeed calling the fact that I left, but it failed to remove me. I want to ping, I want to check how much player are remaining. I want to grab the length of this and print it. So I want to create a game. I'm not sure what ping or what string or what. Length. So I want to create a game. Length 1, 2, length 1, length 0. Length 0. I guess that's on this. I want to find the game. I want to join length 0. Yeah, because I left on the other instance of the game. Length 2 on server. So I think that's because that event is called way too many times. Not that one, but the one recording players. So when do we do this? On player left, record players. On player join, we're gonna hit compile, hit play. It still works the same way. Yeah, it does. So on player join, we want to print something here. We're gonna grab that. New member, temp int, new member 0101. Yeah, exactly what we want. Create game. New member 0, new member 0. We wanted new member 1 here, I believe. No, we wanted 0 and 1. We wanted 0. So we want 0 and 1 at the beginning, and we want 0 when we recreate with the host. 0 and 1. 0. So that's the first index. One zero one, exactly what we were supposed to see. New member 0, length 2. And so what if I join twice? Do we get to 4 after 3? 3, new member length 2, new member 2. So only the server is wrong about this. So the server is not printing the fact that it's removing. Yeah, it does. It does. Length 0, new member 2. It should read new member 1. That's because I'm not sure why. It should read length 1. When the client leaves, it should read length 1 on the server. I'm failing to. I want. Okay, we can't print for longer. New member. No. I want to see this length. I want to see length 1 from the server when that guy leaves. Length 1, but it doesn't say from the server because that guy left. But when we rejoin, new member 2. So yeah, there is something wrong, and I'm not sure what. Especially since the client seems to understand right how player state are coming in and leaving. Maybe we're not receiving this. Oh yeah, we're just not receiving this on server when the client leaves, because I guess that's it. Because this is called from the game instance of a player. When it ends play, it calls the game state and it tells the game state that it left. Oh, well, I guess it's called everywhere, even on server. Maybe the player name is not valid at that stage. What are we doing on our handle disconnected player? Ah, yeah, we'll do this after. Yeah, we'll do this after the previous logic, and I think this is gonna work like this. So we're gonna create a game, find the game, join the game. We're gonna leave the game. Server length 2, length 0, length 1. Okay, I'm afraid it didn't change a thing. but it should have. I know it didn't change, and I wonder why. So we are getting the game state when it's being destroyed, and we are saying that we went away. Maybe it doesn't work because we are receiving an empty string of characters there. So the video is starting to be really long, so I might be pausing there to see. I might be pausing after the tests and check out on my own to see what's not working. Wants to leave. Oh no, we don't want to find game, we want to create a game. We want to find games here. Like this. And now, who wants to live? Wants to live, wants to live. Alright then, I guess we do have all the right output log. Let's see what it wants to live. So what did it say? Oh, I want the timestamp. Oh, I would have wanted the timestamps there. Wants to live. So we do have all the prints we need. So it seems like it's working. So I'll check where the problem is and I re-update the video. Hope you guys enjoyed that video anyway, and hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.